Section 9.3, Example 1, Cleaning up email text. Sometimes an email gets replied to and forwarded so many times that it becomes a mess, with many greater than signs and spaces on some of the lines. Here's a sample email of what we mean. 3 greater than symbols. Hi, Leo. 5 greater than symbols. Dan, any luck with your natural language research? 3 greater than symbols. Yes, that website you showed me. Kaggle.com. 3 greater than symbols is very useful. I found a dataset on there that collects a lot. 3 greater than symbols of questions and answers that might be useful to my research. 3 greater than symbols. Thank you. 3 greater than symbols. Dan. Suppose that you wanted to save this email information for future use. You might like to clean up the greater than and space symbols at the start of lines. You could start manually deleting them. This email isn't that long after all. But don't do that, because here you have an opportunity to design a general-purpose tool that you can use whenever you need to perform this task. Whether your email has 5 lines, 100 lines, or 1,000,000 lines, it won't matter. Just use the tool and be done. Section 9.3.1, Conversing with Copilot. We need to make the messy email available to our tool so that the tool can clean it up. One way we can do this is to first copy the text of an email to the clipboard, using your Copy to Clipboard command on your operating system, such as Control-C. Each computer operating system has a clipboard to store the last thing copied. If you've ever used copy-paste, you've used that clipboard. We're going to use the clipboard for temporary storage of text, so we can edit the text in the clipboard and then paste it where we need it. After copying the text from the messy email to the clipboard, we could then run the tool on the text in the clipboard, and the tool could clean up the email and replace the clipboard contents with the cleaned-up version. For the tool to do something reasonable, we assume that your clipboard has email text on it. The tool will remove the greater than and space characters at the start of each line so that you can paste, using your operating system paste command such as Control-V, the newly cleaned up email wherever you want. In terms of Python, it will need to pull the clipboard contents into a string, that is, copy the contents of the clipboard, clean it up, and then put that new cleaned up text back on the clipboard, that is, paste to the clipboard, replacing the junky version of the email that was there before. So how do we access the clipboard in our Python program? That's what we need to figure out, so that will frame the conversation that we have with Copilot. Similar to Chapter 8, we're going to use human for the prompts that we type and GitHub Copilot for Copilot's responses. You can use the Copilot chat feature or ChatGPT to have a similar conversation. We're typing our prompts into the Copilot chat window. In our chats with Copilot, we're going to explore widely before settling on a solution. We'll explain why we're doing this once we've gotten the hang of things through one example, but we note this here so that you'll be ready for this seemingly less direct approach. Copilot provides quite a bit of sample code in its responses. As we're exploring, feel free to skim that code, but don't get bogged down in it. We'll look at more particulars of the code once we finish exploring and settle on a plan. Let's start learning. Human. I would like to write a Python program that accesses the clipboard and lets me copy and paste using the clipboard. How can I do this? GitHub Copilot. You can use the Paperclip module to access the clipboard in Python. Here's an example program that lets you copy and paste using the clipboard.
See this code?
This program first imports the Paperclip module. It then copies the string "Hello World" to the clipboard using the copy function. Finally, it pastes the contents of the clipboard into the text variable using the paste function and prints the result. You can install the Paperclip module using pip by running pip install Paperclip in your terminal. Copilot's response teaches us that we can use the Paperclip module to interact with the clipboard in our Python program. The sample code that it provided even showed us how to copy stuff from our program to the clipboard and paste stuff from the clipboard into a variable, text. We're making great progress. The final paragraph of the response tells us how to install Paperclip. Aha! So Paperclip doesn't come with Python by default. While we'll learn how to install modules later, it might be nice to not have to worry about that. So let's continue the conversation, asking Copilot if we can do better. Human. Is there a way I can do it without having to install a Python module? GitHub Copilot. Yes, you can use the tkinter module that comes with Python to access the clipboard. Here's an example program that lets you copy and paste using the clipboard without installing any additional modules.
See this code?
This program first creates a hidden tkinter window using the tk function and hides it using the withdraw method. It then clears the clipboard using the clipboard clear method and appends the string hello world to the clipboard using the clipboard append method. Finally, it retrieves the contents of the clipboard using the clipboard get method and prints the result. Note that this method only works if you have a graphical environment available, such as a desktop environment on Linux or Mac OS, or the Windows desktop on Windows. If you're running Python in a terminal-only environment, you'll need to use a different method to access the clipboard. It seems that we've won something and lost something else. The win is that this tkinter module is built into Python. The loss is that the method only works if you have a graphical environment available. Do we have a graphical environment available in our Python setup? Well, we could certainly try the code to find out. This requirement gives us pause. After all, the Paperclip solution didn't have that requirement, so we might not need it. Whatever it happens to mean. Let's try again. Human. Is there another way I can do it without having to install a Python module? GitHub Copilot. Yes, you can access the clipboard using the Win32 clipboard module, which is included in the standard library on Windows. Here's an example program that allows you to copy and paste using the clipboard without installing any additional modules.
See this code?
This program first imports the Win32 clipboard module. To copy text to the clipboard, you can call the OpenClipboard function to open the clipboard, then call empty-clipboard to clear any existing data, and finally call setClipboardText to set the text on the clipboard. After setting the text, you should call closeClipboard to close the clipboard. To paste from the clipboard, you can call OpenClipboard to open the clipboard, then call getClipboardData to get the text from the clipboard. After getting the text, you should call closeClipboard to close the clipboard. In this example, the program copies the text hello world to the clipboard, then pastes it and prints it to the console. Standard library on Windows, eh? That's concerning because it means that our tool might not work on other operating systems. Let's see about that. Human. Does that work on Linux or Mac OS too? GitHub Copilot. No, the Win32 clipboard module is specific to Windows and won't work on Linux or Mac OS. On Linux, you can use the xclip command line utility to access the clipboard. Here's an example program that allows you to copy and paste using the clipboard on Linux.
See this code?
This program uses the subprocess module to run the xclip command line utility. To copy text to the clipboard, you can call subprocess.run and pass in the xclip command with the -selection clipboard option to specify the clipboard selection, and the input parameter to pass in the text you want to copy. To paste from the clipboard, you can call subprocess.popen and pass in the xclip command with the -selection clipboard -o options to read the text from the clipboard, and then read the output of the command using the stdout attribute of the popen object. In this example, the program copies the text, hello world, to the clipboard, then pastes it and prints it to the console. On Mac OS, you can use the pbcopy and pbpaste command line utilities to access the clipboard. The usage is similar to xclip. We've gotten some solutions that are specific to different operating systems. We don't like this. We want our tool to work no matter which operating system we're using. Even if we're using only Windows ourselves, maybe one day we'll share this tool with others who use different operating systems. We could continue our conversation, but in retrospect, having to install that single Paperclip module doesn't seem so bad. Let's go ahead with it. In general, it can be valuable to explore your options when deciding how to start writing a tool, and conversing with Copilot is helpful for carrying out this exploration. Why we should explore and understand our options. There are several reasons why you shouldn't just use the first module that Copilot Chat tells you to use. It may not work on all operating systems. In general, we want to find modules that work across multiple operating systems so that the tool can be used by you, if you later switch operating systems, or others with whom you've shared the tool. It may turn out not to work for our use case after all, or we may struggle to get the code to work. If we have other options, we can start trying those before sinking too much time into a strategy that may or may not ultimately work out. Modules are updated frequently. Usually this is to add new features and fix bugs, but sometimes functions are removed or changed in this process as well. When the author of a module removes a function, it's known as deprecating that function. Once a function is deprecated, it may no longer work, and we need to find a replacement. Copilot is trained only every once in a while, not continuously. So if a new version of a module comes out after Copilot was trained on it, Copilot won't know about the updates. This can lead to Copilot suggesting code that depends on an older version of the module than the one you have. There are ways to address this, as we'll see later in the chapter, but if you run into trouble, having other options to explore is useful. Section 9.3.2. Writing the tool to clean up email. The first thing we need to do is to install the Paperclip module. How do we install it, though? The good news is that Python has made it easy to install new modules. Go to the terminal at the bottom right of VS Code and type the following.
See this code?
Note: for some operating systems, you may need to use pip3 rather than pip. On Windows machines, we recommend using pip if you followed our installation instructions from Chapter 2. On Mac or Linux machines, we recommend using pip3. When you run this command, you might see that other modules get installed too. Don't worry about that. Sometimes modules need other modules to be able to do their work, and Python just installs them all so that you don't have to worry about installing those dependencies yourself. Once that's installed, we can import the module and then write the header and docstring for our function that will remove the greater than and space characters from the start of lines. The reason we're importing the module here is to influence Copilot to use that module when writing the code for the function. Here's the prompt we used and the code that Copilot gave us.
Listing 9.1. First try, clean up email text in the clipboard.
We can see that the program is carrying out the correct sequence of steps. It's obtaining the clipboard contents, cleaning up that text, and then copying the cleaned up text back to the clipboard. As we learned from our earlier chat with Copilot, we want Copilot to write code that uses the paste and copy functions of Paperclip, and that's exactly what it's doing. The second to last line of the program is something we haven't seen before in this book.
See this code?
You can actually remove this line if you like, and if you do, also unindent the line below it. It ensures that the clean email function is only called when you run your program, not when you import it as a module. After all, if you did want to import this as a module, to be used as part of a larger program, you would call clean email whenever you needed that functionality, not necessarily as soon as the module was imported. And, in general, whenever you're interested in understanding a line of code more fully, you can ask Copilot about it. Unfortunately, this code doesn't work. If you run it, you'll receive this error.
See this code?
The syntax error means that we have a program that isn't written in valid Python code. We're going to fix this now. We have a couple of options for how to do so. One is to highlight your code and ask Copilot Chat to fix the bug. For us, this did fix the problem. You could also try asking ChatGPT in conversation, "Propose a fix for the bugs in my code." This is a useful tip to keep in mind whenever the code that you get back from Copilot doesn't work as expected. Copilot fixed the code for us by fixing the line with the syntax error. The new code is shown in the following listing.
Listing 9.2. Second try, clean up email text in the clipboard.
The new line of code, changed from the odd line of code that we had previously, is...
See this code?
The goal of this line is to join all the lines of text together into a single string that the program will later copy to the clipboard. What does that \n mean? That represents the start of a new line in code. What is the join method? It takes all the items in a list, lines, and joins them together into a single string. We can understand how this works in more detail by experimenting a little with join. Here's an example of using join with an empty string rather than the \n string.
See this code?
Notice that some of the words are squished together. That's not exactly what we want. We need something between them. How about a space? Let's try using join again, this time with a space in the string rather than the empty string.
See this code?
Or we could use asterisk.
See this code?
That fixes our squished words, and the asterisks tell us where each line ends. But it would be nicer to actually maintain the fact that the email is 3 lines. We need a way in Python to use a line break or new line character, rather than a space or asterisk. We can't just press enter because that would split the string over 2 lines, and that isn't valid Python syntax. The way to do it is by using \n.
See this code?
Now our tool is ready to be used. If you copy some messy email text to your clipboard, run our program, and paste the clipboard, you'll see that the email has been cleaned up. For example, if we run it on our previous sample email, we get the following cleaned up version. Hi, Leo. Dan, any luck with your natural language research? Yes, that website you showed me. Kaggle.com. is very useful. I found a dataset on there that collects a lot of questions and answers that might be useful to my research. Thank you, Dan. Of course, we could still do more. The line breaks in that email aren't great. The line "a lot" is extremely and needlessly short, and you might want to clean that up as well. You could begin to make these kinds of improvements by adding new requirements to your prompts to Copilot. We'll stop here because we've accomplished our initial goal of email cleanup, but we encourage you to continue exploring more robust solutions on your own.